Welcome back to another edition of the Course Creation Incubator. I'm Gina Anativia, your course coach, digital strategist, and host, here to get you excited about your course creation and marketing, and to help you unblock any roadblocks you may be encountering along the way. And one of the biggest conundrums that I sometimes get from coaches or consultants or experts, especially those of you who've been in the game for a while, the conundrum is, what course do I start with? Because you might have multiple great ideas for a course, and what do you prioritize? What do you put first? That's what we're going to talk about today, because I think prioritization is so important, not only in the course creation world, but just as entrepreneurs as well. Along with our accelerator students, we work with a mix of different clients. Every day I'm asking myself, who's the top 3? Who gets top priority? Because I want to make sure that they're getting the biggest push, that we're moving them along, that we're building momentum. I'm making sure the other engines are moving, but with the top 3, it's significant progress. It's making sure they're getting the love that they need when they need it. And it's a balance. And let me tell you, it can get overwhelming at times because I've got to have the eye on the prize. So I'm always asking, where does the focus need to be? And what's my biggest priority? So for you, what is your biggest priority course? Because maybe you serve different audiences. You have different approaches for different people. Maybe you teach different things. For example, maybe you're an agency or you're a coach and you do websites, you do lead generation, maybe you do brand building, you do social media, and you're thinking, well, what should I focus on first in terms of a course? A lot of times I get executive coaches and consultants who are just wondering, where do I start? You know the demand is there. You know people are asking for your expertise because you're booked out, but you're thinking, where do you go from here? It's such a great question because if you're listening right now, you're likely a visionary for your business. And it's hard to nail down where to start or kind of hone in on where to go. Sometimes it's tough to make a decision. That's why I recorded that episode a couple of weeks ago about how to vet new decisions and avoid the squirrels, because your course can be a squirrel. Your course can be a distraction if you choose the wrong one to start with. So I want to make sure you're connecting the right course at the right time, because my 6-week accelerator is opening up soon. And I want you to work with me. I want you to have an idea of what course you might want to move forward with. And by the way, if you're listening to this episode and you're thinking, Gina, I'm still not 100% certain, well, that's part of what the 6-week accelerator is all about. It's working through what's the course that makes sense for you? What's the audience that really makes sense for you? I would say about a quarter of my accelerator students at least come in with multiple ideas, and we work on which course to start with together. That's one of the benefits of working closely with me. And remember, it's never one size fits all. I do the 6-week accelerator because you have your own path to course creation, and I want to help you figure that out. Consider this podcast a preliminary conversation. Then once we start working on the accelerator together, you can let me know if you're considering multiple audiences and we can work it out together. I want you signing up for the accelerator waitlist, coursecreationboutique.com/6 weeks, so that you're ready to work with me. Spots will be limited. I only take a small group, and this is the last time I'm going to be doing this live, so you don't want to miss it. All right, I want to walk through those elements to consider when you have too many ideas for a course, to help you figure out what is your PC, your priority course. And I'm going to walk through some M&Ms to help you figure out what that priority course is. By the way, I used to answer this question with another question by asking, where's the demand? And I still believe in that, and I have podcasts that talk about that. And I do believe that when people are asking you for a specific course, you should deliver it for them. But there are 3 other elements here that I want you to consider along with that where's the demand question. One of the reasons this podcast came up, by the way, is I was thinking about a done-for-you client that I had about a year ago. She's an executive coach, incredible lady. She could teach anything, honestly. And she was having what I'd call a fun adventure of trying to figure out what course she really wanted to start with. And we went back and forth a bit, talking through these different elements, talking about her audience. She had multiple audiences. She still has multiple audiences. She can build out 5 different courses right now. Now, she ended up with a fantastic 6-week course that I think encapsulates the best of what she has to offer. And then she has room to grow from there. She can continue on with this audience. This audience can grow with her, and she can continue to pitch different things like retreats and masterminds and group coaching to them. So it's a great start for her. So the first element is a double M. It's our money maker. I want you getting cash flow going as a course creator because I know there's a lot of investment that can happen when you're first starting out. And I want you to be able to get some cash going into the business so that you can reinvest it and you could start to see the rewards of your efforts. So when I think about moneymaker, I think, where is the greatest opportunity? It might be a live workshop. It might be a smaller workshop that goes for, say, 3 or 4 weeks or over 2 days. Maybe it's a half-day intensive. And it could be a lower price point. It's a great way to test out an idea and to get that cash flow going. Maybe it's a paid webinar or a paid masterclass. It could be a guest series that you're hosting. And by the way, if you don't know your moneymaker, this is where your validation comes in. Do some interviews, talk to your potential students, see what they really need. Do they need a half-day intensive? Could they just do a 90-minute class or a 2-hour class with you? You charge $50 and you get some money going. Once you talk to some of your core potential students, I promise you the ideas will pop for you. The second element I want you to think about, and I've talked about this a lot in the podcast, is MVP, minimum viable product. What's the quickest piece that you can put together? So that's along with number 1, what's the moneymaker? Number 2 is, where do you have pieces that you could already build upon or maybe just edit a little bit and put them out to market? I think about Martha, who was in my accelerator class one year. She does a doodling workshop. She was able to repurpose some of her workshops to put together a course rather quickly. I had another student who teaches high school art. She was able to put together a course that was based on a number of workshops she had already done. And if you're listening right now, you likely have content or workshops that you can repurpose into a course. You could teach it live, or maybe it's a hybrid. Maybe some of the workshop materials that you've already built, they're inside the course, they're static, and then you're going live on top of that. So it's a hybrid and it's minimum viable product because you're just repurposing some pieces that you already have. Don't think you have to start from scratch with your course creation. I think a lot of times we approach it like we've got to create this magnificent masterpiece and we've got to take it from scratch. And that's just a bit of BS, honestly, because sometimes it's perfectly great to take what you've got, add on to it, and adjust it. It might be a bit of a Franken course the first time around, but I promise you after that, you'll continue to evolve it. You'll continue to make it better. 2.0 will look nothing like 3.0 and on and on. All right, the third M is momentum builder. Where can you build momentum in terms of the next step? So if I'm going back to the moneymaker, maybe I'm doing a workshop because I know I can offer a $297 live workshop for 4 weeks. And maybe I can get 10 people in there so I can make some quick cash, a couple of $1,000. I'm MVPing it because I already have half the materials done because let's say I used to teach a series of workshops to a school or to another group. And then I can build momentum because once I build this particular workshop that I'm making up, I shop it around to different schools or groups that I know might be interested in it. I know I can build momentum once I build the prototype. I've had course creators who do that as well. They build the first course, then they sell it to a group or a company that they know will be interested. Maybe you customize it a little bit, but then you sell it for a higher price point because you're customizing it. I had a student who did this, who sold her original course. I think it was $247. She agreed to do it live for an organization and sold it for a few $1,000s just for that company who were willing to pay that because it was custom. So think through, what is the next step here? Where can you make the money? Where can you build the MVP? And how can you build momentum to the next step? All right, that's what I've got for you in terms of building your priority course, how to choose the idea to go with now. So think through these M's for your PC. So moneymaker, minimum viable product, and your momentum builder. One last thought here. You want to be able to thoughtfully edit your ideas down, and a lot of times it helps to get help. You can talk about this episode with someone who knows you, or you could hire me as your coach, because that outside perspective is invaluable in terms of what stays and what goes. And by the way, with the accelerator, you don't just get me as your coach, you get a group of peers cheering you on and giving you really great feedback along the way. That coach, that friend, that colleague, and whoever you choose, and it doesn't have to be me, that's okay. If you're choosing a friend or a colleague, pick someone who can give you an unbiased perspective. So find that help for you. And by the way, it could be your partner as well. My hubby, Alex, we go on our walks and he gives me an honest opinion that sometimes I don't like hearing. Okay, a lot of times I don't like hearing it, but 90% of the time it makes sense because Alex doesn't have the emotion tied to decisions like I do. So it's an unbiased, unemotional perspective. Okay, one really final thought, and seriously, I'll let you go after this. The most important piece with course creation and any idea you decide to pursue is to show up and take meaningful action each and every day. Because the last thing I want you to do is listen to this episode and not choose a path. Whatever you decide to do, choose a way forward. Get in the game. You can't help your students unless you're actively sharing, teaching, and giving your expertise. All right. Enough from me. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss one course creation and marketing episode. And I will see you next week. Until then, go create, be you and be brilliant, and get it done.